Welcome. I'm Kinetic Symphony. I hunt down and report on weird and true mysterious stories, from glitches to the paranormal. Would you like even more content? Here's my Patreon. Now onto the stories.
Case file number 1166, written by novahcaine. The moon is an illusion. So I was out leveling our family garden, picking out the weeds and just enjoying the evening, making the garden all nice to plant stuff tomorrow. I go to sit down, drink some water, pick up my phone to shoot a text to a friend, and then decide I'll walk down to my secret garden and fort to check out on my wildflowers and caladium. As I'm walking down the hill, I do my normal routine and look at the sky to see what the clouds are doing today. I look up and see this huge, bright circle and was like, whoa. Mind you, I've seen many a full moons. This was like in your face. Hi, I'm the moon, and you will notice me type bright. Yellowish, white, gleaming pearly moon, and a perfect circle. I've never seen it so beautiful. So then I text my mom something like, wow, the moon is bright tonight. I still have the text. I thought nothing of it really, besides the fact there must be a full moon. Cool. Sit in my fort and garden thing for a while, head back up the hill and go inside. When I sat down, I figured I'd check my moon phase app to see how illuminated it was. Sometimes a full moon looks full, but is still at 85 to 99% illumination. I like to keep track of things up there. It's fascinating. Anyways, I look at the app and it says 10% illumination, waning crescent, age 26.47 days. So then I check Google, same thing. So I got up and went back outside to look for the moon, and it was just gone. Nothing. Only the sun setting. Got ballsy enough to just glance at the sun for a split second, just to make sure I couldn't do it like I did with the moon. And now I'm sitting here typing this out because I literally don't know what to do with this. I decided I want to push it to the farthest corners of my brain, under a rug, never to be seen again. But first, I need to know if anyone else has genuinely gone through something like this before. What did I see? 'Cause it sure as hell wasn't the moon then. A dim sun? An illuminated hole? A hallucination? A projection?
Case notes for file 1166. The moon is an illusion. People legitimately witness the strangest anomalies in regards to the moon. And what fascinates me is the meta aspect of it. Almost every story I read about the moon glitching out are different from each other. So what could that mean? Everything about the moon disappearing, to moving across the sky very fast, or to seeing ripples across the surface. Indeed, like a distorted projection. Or in this case, it just appears super bright for no reason. And sort of like at dusk when there's still some light out in the sun. It honestly baffles me. I really do think the moon exists. I don't think it's an illusion. And is a standard celestial body, tides and all that. How do they work? But I can't deny something strange is going on there. Maybe the moon does exist, but for some unknown reason, the government is projecting an image of it that isn't truly what it is. That doesn't really fit with me though, because of the brightness of it and how it appears. If it was a projection, I don't think it would work this way. You'd be able to easily determine where the projection was coming from. People would already have done that. And it wouldn't really make sense because everyone is observing it more or less the same way, usually, from any given location. Altogether, this is one of the more mysterious glitches that I narrate because I don't know. I really don't know until I go there myself, with Elon Musk's help in 5 years. Maybe then I'll record a few glitches from the moon base. Yeah. Reminds me of Pluto Nash. As a terrible movie, but I still love it. Maybe just nostalgia, I don't know.
Case file number 1167, written by ThrowRaw5977. The Twilight Zone of Parenthood. My son is 2.5 months old, and has only so many clothes. I wash his clothes every week, and I dress him every day, so I know what clothes he has since I see them quite often. A few weeks back, my husband and I picked out some outfits for him from Macy's because we had a gift card. I saw the cutest gray onesie with blue foxes on it and bought it for him for bedtime. Tonight, during our usual bedtime routine, I dressed him in this onesie and laid him down for bed. My husband is playing his game, and I had to run to the bathroom. On the way back to the room, I had some anxiety and wondered if this motherly worry would ever end. When I came back, I saw the exact same outfit on the bed. I can't describe the fear that I felt. It wasn't a scary movie fear, but I felt sick to my stomach and like something was wrong. My husband said he's always had 2 outfits, but I know for a fact he hasn't. I know every article of clothing he has. I've pulled every tag off of his clothes before I put them on. I would have known if he had 2 of these. I feel very sick right now, and I feel like I've changed universes without realizing it, and I don't know when.
Case notes for file 1167. The Twilight Zone of Parenthood. Right, so a universal switcheroo is possible. Hinting at this because your husband has always believed that you had 2 of those onesies. Or it's not a switcheroo, it's just a universal duplication. But it's also possible it's merely a duplicate in the sense that a different universe lost it. So in that universe, the onesie, you never put it on your kid. Before you even put it on, it disappeared. And your husband doesn't know anything about glitches, so his mind wouldn't even go towards that end of the spectrum of explanations. So yeah, if there was a second one, in his mind would just think, it would create the explanation that you've always had 2. He wouldn't even entertain the idea that it just magically appeared. I mean, there'd be no basis for thinking that way. It would be rather odd, though, if you experience quantum immortality, given you don't describe any sort of health condition. People do randomly just die, sometimes, from like brain aneurysms, but it's exceptionally rare, especially, I don't think you're much older than like middle age, 30s, 40s. So yeah, just randomly dying. I can't rule it out, but it doesn't seem likely. But it is one explanation. You're just in a different universe where you just bought 2 of the same onesie, which isn't that crazy. I mean, the idea of buying 2 if you liked it. Yeah, I could see that. So, okay, we'll keep that to the side as a explanation. But a duplication is probably much more palatable and likely. Sadly though, we may never know exactly what happened, because there's no way to test it as far as we know. Maybe there is a different energy state as you transition between universes in the multiverse. When your soul connects to a new host body, it may have some detectable effect on the body, the matter in the body. It would make sense if it did, right? The soul is pure energy, so connecting to a new host would leave some trace. Maybe just not something we can detect yet, or even know to look for. It's like if you have a unknown substance in your blood, unless you know what that substance is, it's hard. There's so many things in the blood that it's hard to even look for. So it could be something like that. Maybe it does leave a trace, but we don't even know what to look for. But anyways, it sounds like you have a good life. You have a husband and kids. It's great. And now you have 2 onesies, so what more could you ask for?
Case file number 1168, written by Current Tree 770. The Vanishing Act, twice in broad daylight. This has happened to me twice now, within the last couple of years. The first time I was walking to work and on our city's main avenue. I looked to my left and noticed a man standing outside a building, talking on his phone, and he walked around the power or electrical unit that is outside the building. Nothing out of the ordinary. I looked away for a split second, and when I looked back in his direction, he was gone. He never came around the side of the unit. There is an alley that separates 2 buildings where he was, but I looked, and there was nothing there, no one. I had to cut through the parking lot where he was, and this man was just gone. That was the first time I had seen anything like this, and it still shakes me up. The second time was just a couple of days ago. I was walking to work, new job, different end of town, and going down the sidewalk. Now, my workplace is in a strip mall, and at the far right of the strip mall, closest to the sidewalk I was walking on, is the mailboxes for this building. I was coming down the hill and noticed a woman walking towards the mailboxes, again, not thinking anything of it. Just a lady going to check the mail for one of the businesses, right? I looked away for a fraction of a second, and when I looked in her direction, she was gone. No car had pulled up. There's no door next to the mailboxes, and from where I was, I would have seen her walking around to one of the sides of the strip mall. This woman had completely vanished. I turned to walk towards the building and still no trace of her. No open mailboxes. I have told my husband about these 2 incidents, and he's equally as baffled as I am. Has anyone else had this happen? We keep joking that it's aliens or time travelers, but it's weird that I've seen it happen twice in broad daylight while on the way to work.
Case notes for file 1168. The Vanishing Act in broad daylight. I don't think this is a ghost or a time traveler or even aliens, as much as I wish it was the latter. I think some areas are quite simply prone to space-time anomalies. And the curious thing is, the man on his phone and the mail lady most likely took a step in front of themselves and before realizing anything had happened, maybe even miles away from where their foot should have landed. What would be really cool is if one day, I can find stories that appear to be linked. For instance, from their perspective, like if the mail lady also wrote a glitch where she was approaching the mailbox in this building, in the strip mall, and then was just like on the other side of the building, one moment to the next. And if you have those stories that link together, I mean, that would be very interesting to read, at least for me. So far, I haven't found stories that perfectly link in that way, at least unless they were like friends or roommates or family members that happened to both of them at the same time, but not like strangers that linked up. You need two people that either watch my channel or on Reddit and have the... That's the other thing to think about this is I think there's a lot of glitches happening, but most people either don't appreciate it, like in the previous story, their mind doesn't even go to the possibility of a glitch, so they're not going to go hunting for a channel that talks about them, or go on Reddit or other forums to post it. So we would never know. But I think glitches are happening all the time. It's just they're underreported because people don't accept them as glitches, and or they just don't even know that there's a place to talk about it without being, labeled as crazy. So yeah, there's definitely an underreporting problem in this environment. But as time moves on, I think less and less. And now time for the quote of the day. Some national parks have long waiting lists for camping reservations. When you have to wait a year to sleep next to a tree, something is wrong. George Carlin. Ah yes. So national parks are beautiful, and they are well maintained, but they're not really meant to just go like brave the outdoors and venture out into the wilderness. They're too controlled for that. And you can argue for good reason or not, but my point is it's more like just, it's not really to go and camp, in my opinion. It's more to go and, you can drive through most of them just to experience the vistas and then move on. If you want to go camping, fishing, whatever it is, and just experience nature, but in a more relaxed way without like a trillion rules, go to a forest instead, a national forest, state forest. Those are much more lax. You can just go there, camp. You can camp in the same spot for 2 weeks, I think. And then you just have to move 25 miles away from that spot and you can just keep camping. So they're effectively, free public land. Just practice leave no trace. So don't just leave garbage laying around. Don't be inconsiderate that way. Be considerate of animals in the area, and that's the best way to experience nature. Forests, not parks. Like the video, subscribe, hit the bell. Kinetic Symphony signing off.